Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Loni. Good morning. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thank you so much for taking your time out for joining here with me today.
Hi, good to meet you.
It's my pleasure. Loni, my first question, pretty straightforward and simple. What do you do now?
So, I work with homeless youth and foster youth to be able to help them get funded education. So, we work one on one with students and we help them learn to learn, which means they don't need us after we work with them. We give them tools so that after we do the tutoring, let's say for Algebra 1, then next year for Algebra 2, they no longer need to work with us. They already have all their tools to work on Algebra 2 or go fly to the moon or start a business. They have those life skills that they need in order to
Right.
be an independent learner.
Right. Got it. Loni, Loni, I was, on your LinkedIn page, a while before, and you kind of started tutoring in the year 2013. Am I correct?
I think that honestly, even throughout school, I was tutoring. I think that during the years where you're learning,
Mm-hmm.
that is your professional job, right? You are a learner. And I think that I was learning those skills on how to learn best. And with my peers, I was also tutoring them then. During college, I was a tutor who was paid by the Honors College, by the university itself to work with students and student athletes too. And then after 2013, I was doing it outside of school too.
Great.
I also got a background in I don't know if this is on my LinkedIn. I haven't looked in a while, to be honest. I've just been so focused on the students and the families and our team. But also around that same time, I was getting 3 years of neuroscience research, specifically in learning and memory.
Got it. Loni, when I asked you what you do, you described, the thing that you do, and is that what you do at your company, Cognitutor, or is that a different thing?
Yes, so that's what we do at Cognitutor. We have different services too, in addition to that, but that is our main service that we give to our students and our families. We also help students with the SAT, ACT in order to increase their scores. For example, we work with schools and districts to be able to help students who aren't able to get their diploma because they haven't gotten a certain score on their standardized tests. So they work
Right.
all year long, and then even 4 years of high school. And at the end, they can't get a diploma. So what happens is the school or the district brings us in and we work with them literally a week. And we have a 90% success rate that Monday through Friday, we work with them. On Saturday, they take the test and they get the score that they need. And a lot of these times, these students don't even speak English, which is crazy because what we're focusing on, again, main idea of the company is help a student learn to learn. But when you're working on a standardized test, you need a very specific goal or score. And
Right.
so with the standardized testing, we focus much more on this is just how you're going to get the score.
Got it, Lonnie. Lonnie, you've been doing this from almost 9, 10 years now, and you've also been teaching, from way back as when you were studying yourself. So, is this what you always wanted to do, to teach and help students?
Oh my goodness. There are people who at the beginning of their lives when they're kids can say, I want to be a teacher. And then they go and they do it. They fulfill their life stream. I was not that fortunate. I think even as a child, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So what happened is after college, I ended up with a student and her name was Sarah T. And she had failed this test from third grade until 10th grade. And they just keep pushing her forward, pushing her forward. I got her in 10th grade and I met her 6 times. On the 7th time she came to me and she said, "Oh my gosh, Loni, I passed this test." And I was like, "Wow, really?" And she didn't just pass it. She was 6 points from a perfect score. And so she went from, I have not been able to pass this test from third grade all the way to 10th grade, just work on it 6 times, and then she was able to pass. But the thing is, we actually never worked specifically on that test. What I was working on with her was life skills and reading comprehension. And she was able to take those tools and apply it to a different test on her own and completely blow it out of the water. I was so proud of her. And so, did I know I was going to start a business? Did I know I was going to go into education? Absolutely not. But
Right.
what happened is through experiences and realizing, how is nobody else doing this already? That's where I really saw there's a need here and we need to do something about it. I mean, how many times have you heard, "Wow, I wish I learned that in school,"
Yeah.
Or so what we try to do is these life skills that will truly help you in your life. That's what we want to give our students.
Got it, Lonnie. Lonnie, before I come and talk to you about your business, I just want to dig a little deeper about the story you just shared about Sarah T, your first student, who kind of had that impact on you as much as you had an impact on her. What
Yes.
what do you think went wrong in Sarah's journey? From third grade up until 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 7 years, and then what was the difference that you brought in kind of work for her?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question, actually. There is each student is totally different. There also is kind of a path of, this is what makes a good learner. And so a lot of the times when you get a student, especially one like Sarah, who's learned, "I can't pass this," one of the first things is helping them realize, "Hey, I'm here. I care about you and we're going to work on this together." And through that, they start to realize, I can have confidence. I can do this. It is okay to make mistakes. And it's really the hard work that they just need to put in consistently. So it was just Sarah and I sitting down and really getting into the nitty gritty of reading comprehension. And it's not fun. It's not pretty, but anything with good results really takes hard work. You don't need to be smart. You don't need any other skills. You just need to be consistent and a hard worker. So what we did is we sat down with a paragraph of something that she would have to read on grade level, and we would read the first sentence, and I would ask her, "What did it say in your own words?" And anytime she added extra things or left out extra things, we talked about it and we talked about, where did you find this thing that you just said? And so once we did that with the first sentence, we moved on to the second sentence and then the third sentence. At the end of the paragraph, then we would talk about summary. Can you give me a summary of that paragraph? And again, it's helping the student understand what they're reading and recognize the most important points in it and exactly where they're getting it from. And it's almost a way of teaching her how to think about something rather than, "Here's this test, you need to be able to pass it." So when I taught her, this is how you think about something, this is how you go about answering the questions, and this is how you understand what you're reading, she's now able to apply that to any test. And honestly, how often do you have to read in life, right? It's going to help her with so many other things in her life. And that's the thing that, she was able to go off to college now and be successful Whereas before, she wouldn't have been able to get her diploma. She wouldn't have been able to go to college. And if she had, it would have been really difficult to not understand a lot of the things that she was reading.
Right, right, got it. When you kind of explained what you did with Sarah, everything seems pretty simple and straightforward. Oh, there's not much of a problem there. But there is definitely some problem, right? Do you think it's just attention that's not being given to students on a personal level? Is that what it is? Or is it lack of teaching skills on the side of the teachers?
I want to say first and foremost that I love our teachers. I think that everybody who sees a teacher in a classroom is going to say that teachers become teachers because they care about our kids and they care about the future of our country. And so I wouldn't necessarily say it's because of the teachers. I think the biggest thing really is some students just need those fundamental skills. And a lot of the time you learn that either yourself, but mainly probably through learning it from somebody else, whether that is a teacher, an older sibling, a parent. And sometimes the students just aren't given that opportunity to see how to do those things. And instead, they learn how to learn in a let's complete this in the easiest and fastest way possible. And that turns into them not really understanding the material. They're just rote memorization, repeating what they've heard, but there was no critical thinking involved. So there was no pattern recognition made. And so I think a lot of the time that's what's happening with our kids is they just never actually completely understood how to learn or the material that they were learning. And it's no fault of anyone else, but that's why I see this is a need that could make such a difference in somebody's lives. If you literally help them change their life just a little bit at the beginning, over the course of a lifetime, you have a huge change in their life and all of the lives along the way too.
Yeah, yeah. And then looking back, you would be one of a reason for a larger thing that's happening in the society in a way. So although it's so indirect, but also it's pretty direct. Okay, anyway.
I
Lonnie,
really want to um, I want to revolutionize education in our country. Honestly, the kids that we have are the adults of tomorrow, are
yeah,
the business leaders of tomorrow, of our politicians of tomorrow,
yeah.
right? And they will be the ones helping our future kids. And I see even with things like AI and other things, AI is amazing, but I need people to remember that it's a tool, right? It doesn't replace the critical thinking, the problem solving, the prioritization, because we are bombarded.
You were saying that you want to revolutionize the education system because that kind of impacts directly the kind of future that we're going to have. And yeah, and I was going to say, if voting is one way to kind of choose the kind of world or the society that you want to live in, teaching is equally another way. Is another equal thing that's on par with voting is what I'd say. From whatever you're saying, that's what I thought. And
I think it's one of the most efficient ways, honestly. Why would we
organic ways
have,
as well.
yeah, if people, starting out as children grow up and they learn all of these lessons along the way, whereas what we could do is we could teach them and they could learn faster. Some lessons, sometimes you do have to learn on your own,
Right.
but I also think that there is a certain way that you can teach people and we would be able to learn things faster. And so I think teaching is such an important job and it changes so many lives. And I didn't see where I was going with this, but now that I'm here, I'm so, so thankful that it ended up the way that it did. And I have this opportunity to work with my team and work with our families and students to change so many lives because we're doing an amazing thing here. And I, I can't even imagine what else we're going to be able to do, because changing that one life expands to changing so many other lives too.
Awesome, awesome stuff, Donnie. And congratulations on almost completing a decade with your company.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I'm going to go back to Sarah T. So what happened after that particular experience with that student?
After Sarah T, her school called me and they were like, "Can you work on our campus?" And I was like, "Yes, I can." It makes a company on the side if you hire my company to help. Because at that time, I really recognized if I could make that much of a difference in that short of a time, and a school recognized it. The school recognized it because they looked at her records and saw fail, 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 fail. And then in 10th grade. And I want to go over failure first. When I say failure, failure's not a bad thing. I literally have a letter to each one of our students at the beginning of tutoring that says the very first line, fail and fail quickly. Because if you're not scared to make mistakes, you're going to learn faster. And so when I say fail in relation to Sarah, I don't want it to be taken as a negative thing. So I just wanted to clarify that first, because failure is the very first step to learning and improving. And so the school recognized the complete change in her score and they wanted more of it. And that's when I really realized this is something we need. Nobody else is doing this. Like, I researched it a lot and I was just like, how is this not a thing that we're giving our students, our children's, our families? So at that point, I said yes to the school and I started doing some work on their school campus with them. And in 1 month, I was like, this is what I'm doing. And so I put up a website. I incorporated it to make it an LLC, and I started just going for it. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew it was going to be something in this area. And along the way, I was going to realize, oh, this is the direction where we should go. And this is another really important skill that I want to emphasize is sometimes people can get stuck in, well, I don't know what I'm doing, or, I don't know what I'm going to try to do. And instead, I would challenge people to, if you have a little bit of an idea, just get started, just do it. Like, literally just do it, and you will learn and you will get better along the way. But if you don't ever start, you won't get anywhere. And so, did I know where I was going? No. But now I'm here. And it was because of those incremental changes all along the way. After that, from our website, I actually got contacted by one of our lead agencies in foster care, and they needed help with their kids. And that's when I personally started tutoring with them and then started hiring tutors to work with them, and I was overseeing the tutors, and it kind of just kept building from there, where now, okay, I've done this, I know what it takes, I've written it out for you so I can guide you, and now I move up and I oversee the tutors. And then I wrote out this procedure, realized what it takes and how to recognize what success is in this position, and then I hired for this position, and then I moved up. And then we kind of just continued going. And eventually I was like, we're in 15 states. How did this happen? We've never done sales before, but it's because of quality services, us caring about our families, and then it just went from there. So never any sales, just really, really good reviews. I think our lowest reviews are a 4.7 star on anything that you can find on us online. And the only reason it's a 4.7 is because somebody in a different country who we've never worked with before gave us a 1 star. So
That's
But
amazing.
we do everything we possibly can for our families. And I think that that is one of the key ingredients to being successful.
Awesome. Awesome, Lonnie. Lonnie, I get a feeling when you talk about what you do, it comes across like a non-profit sort of a thing. But come on, we all need money, and so what's your business model? Like, it definitely does not sound like you get your money directly from the students. So, is it the schools that you tie up with? Is it the foster home associations that you tie up with? Are they the ones that pay you? How does your business works? Who are your clients?
So I actually wanted to become a nonprofit, and I didn't have a background in business. And when I looked at becoming a nonprofit, there seemed to be a lot more red tape. And so that's why I looked at being a for profit. I think that both do generate revenue.
Right.
It just kind of depends on the structure. So with our structure, we're much more B2B type business where we are a business who works directly with businesses, not as much directly with a consumer. And so what that means is we partner with businesses that have that need. So is that a scholarship? Is that a nonprofit? Is that a foundation? It can be so many different things. Is it a school? Is it a school district? Is it directly with the state? So that's who we partner with because they have the need and they have the funds to be able to provide it for the students. And so that's how we go about it. And if I were looking at getting rich, I would not have decided to work with homeless and foster youth. So really it's to make a difference, especially for those kids who came into this world not having done anything, but were given these circumstances.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to give them that opportunity and give it also to other students too that aren't in that situation. We work with all types of students. It's just my heart is for the foster youth and the homeless youth because each time I go to a group home or something like that, I have to stop myself from trying to adopt a child. So really it breaks my heart when I go there and that's what makes it human because we do everything online.
Right.
We go in person to the student wherever they are, but as far as the administrative things, we do everything online because we can have a bigger impact that way. So we communicate with our tutors online. But every year it's my goal to take my team to a group home so they can humanize the situation because yes, each one of my team members works with 200 students, but when you go in person and you see the kids and you see the difference that you're making and you see how they just need that love and consistency, that is what makes our team really see, hey, what we're doing, we have to keep doing this. I could have gone into insurance or something, but if I'm going to spend 8 hours or 10 hours or honestly 16 hours a day, sometimes working, it's going to be something that I believe in and something that I feel is meaningful.
Okay. Totally, it shows from the beginning. This was one of the things because it didn't definitely look like you're out there to make money and stuff like that. But of course, money is important for life sustenance. But it definitely showed from the beginning that you cared about these kids. And Lonnie, when it comes to the area of expertise that you have, is it just about everything starting from the youngest of kids up till the point they have to go to college or something? Or do you have an age group limit, or you have a from a subject point of view, do you have any limitations, or are you just doing everything end to end?
So we do work mainly with K through 12. We
Right.
also have worked with 3-year-olds and we've also worked with 70-year-olds. So the skills that you learn in order to be a better learner are applicable to anybody at any age. And in fact, we are almost done developing our Learn to Learn program. We've completed our first year, and the idea is this course is going to be a 3-year course. So the first year is helping students with the most important, easiest, and fastest skills that you can learn that will make a big impact on your life. And the third year is, you've already learned these other skills. The third year, these skills are so useful to learn too. And they're also more specialized and a bit more life skills, such as how do you budget? How do you do other types of life skills like that? So our Learn to Learn course really can be applied to anybody. And this is something that we're going to be able to make available to schools, to districts, so they can give it to their to their teachers, and the teachers can then apply those to their students. We'll also be making it available to homeschooling parents and students, because in that environment, the student has to be so independent, and we want to be able to provide more support in that area. We're also going to be able to provide it to adults and companies, because in companies, you really want a good problem solver, a good critical thinker, somebody who has good reading comprehension, and they're not going to be taught everything that they need to know. They have to be able to figure it out. And so we really have something that's able to support people at any age. The tutoring is mainly K through 12, but we also provide things such as art lessons, music lessons, because this supplements the academics. And a lot of the times, I can even think of one foster youth we had where she was not going to do anything unless, like, all she was interested in was dance. And it was like, all right, you and I are going to make a deal. You're going to be able to get your dance lesson once a week if you do your tutoring and you submit your homework and you move forward. Because maybe she isn't going to go to college. That's okay. But we do want her to have a high school diploma, and then we want to be able to support her in whatever her dreams are in the future. And that's what the Learn to Learn program does, is it also helps you recognize what are your goals and what are your values and how do I get you there? Like, my goal is to help support you. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to do this typical track that everybody else does. So let me help get you to where you want to go.
Right, great. And Loni, when it comes to, you started off as a one person when you started the company, when the school asked you if they can work, if they asked you if you can work in the campus. So what's the journey of building your company been like? What was your first hire like? How many people do you work with right now in your company?
The journey was stressful. There were a lot of, every single day I woke up wondering, am I doing the right thing? What should I be working on next? It's a constant strategizing, because at the beginning, I didn't have too much of a background in education. And at the beginning, I didn't have too much of a background in business. And this whole idea was totally new, purely from my experiences with Sarah. And so at the beginning, it was really kind of doing market research and understanding where the need was and how I could provide that to people. And so the first few years were really that, just receiving a lot of feedback, recognizing what was needed and then seeing how can I provide that and accommodating those things. And so, I had this idea over here, and I really ended up going this way because I was following what the students and families needed. So how I mentioned it before, where I was a tutor and then I replaced myself as a tutor and gave them those support documents so that they could be successful. And then I oversaw them and made sure, okay, the tutors are doing the right thing. And then once I really felt like that made sense, then I was able to add another team member to the team to oversee those tutors so I could oversee them. And so we were able to grow the number of tutors and then grow the number of education consultants that we have that support the students and the tutors. And what that looks like now is we're in 15 states. I have 850 tutors across all of those states. And my amazing team, I cannot brag on my team enough. This all goes around because my team is amazing and they keep things together so that I'm able to really look at where is the company going now? How can I best provide for the team and for our families now? And so our team members, we have different arms of Cognitutor now. And so I think the number of team members we have is about 10 or so. If I counted, I would probably get to about 10 or something.
You
I'm
mean to
not
say apart from the
100%
tutors?
sure.
Sorry?
What was that?
You're not
Oh,
100% sure. Yeah.
yes, because we do have full-time people in the company, but we also have people who are more part-time who are helping with curriculum, with different projects and things. So it does kind of go up and down. The core team, though, is 10.
Right. Got it.
Mhm.
Loni, you spoke about, your company having tutors, and then you spoke about educational consultants, right? So what are the roles that the educational consultants actually play in your company?
What are the rules that they, what?
The role that they perform
The role,
as an educational consultant in your company. Yeah.
yes. So the education consultant customer service position is really some people, when they think about business, they might think about a customer service or account manager. And so each, I just call them ECs for short. So each C on my team has 200 students, and their role is let's get the student tutoring. Because if the student is consistently meeting and learning, that's better for them. It's
Right.
also better for the tutor to have consistency. And so really the main goal of the EC is make sure this student can keep tutoring. Does that mean the tutor moved? Okay, hire a new tutor. Does that mean the student ran out of funding? Okay, reach out to the funder. Let's see if we can get them more funding. Does
Right.
that mean that the guardian, parent, or student are no longer interested in tutoring? Okay, reach out to them and see why. Is it a problem we can solve? Or have you already learned everything that you need and you're ready to graduate out of the program? So the ECs are integral in really making sure that they're there to support the student and the tutor.
Great stuff. Loni, from what you've spoken, I've understood that, your company is tutoring the students, and another part of the work that you do is developing curriculums like learn to learn programs that you're kind of, to scale this whole thing up. You're also reaching out to schools and empowering them with the kind of curriculum that you use for your own students to, have the maximum impact. So when it comes to tutoring the students, what is the mode of delivery? Is it in person or is it online?
So I would say that most of the time it's in person. And the reason for that is because when you're working with somebody with trauma or somebody who has not had support for 4 years, or they haven't had consistency, and so they've moved from school to school and state to another state, they don't have a whole lot of foundation. And because of that, they also don't have a whole lot of motivation for school. Because think about it. If you don't have a bed, you don't have somebody who loves you, you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow, you just watched your parent get arrested, that's a lot going on and you're in survival mode. And in survival mode, you care about food,
Yeah.
shelter, love. And so the first thing that we do is we come in and we recognize that. We are very trauma informed as an organization to recognize I can't just come in and expect you to be ready to go. You have your papers, you know exactly what to work on. So instead, the very first thing that we do when we come in is we recognize that and we show the student we're there. We're going to be there consistently. We do care. And I want to help you towards your goals.
Right.
So we focus on that first and building that mentorship and relationship and trust. And then from there, we start working on encouraging the student and building up their confidence so they understand I can do this. There have been so many stories where I've heard this student doesn't care about school at all to all of a sudden in less than 3 months, you can't get them to stop talking. They're raising their hands. You know, they want to participate and engage because they're excited now. They realize this is something that they can do. And so that's kind of the beginning process that we do with our students. And most of the time it is in person because you can build that relationship better and you can keep someone engaged better when you're in person. We also do online too, especially for those that live in more rural areas or have a more compact schedule. So we offer both. It really depends on the needs of the student, but most often in person and in schools, almost entirely in the actual school.
And thank you for sharing this part. Because so your tutors aren't any normal tutors, right? They must be kind of specially trained to work with these kids. When you say trauma informed, they're not normal tutors. They have a special sort of training that they undergo before they meet with the students.
We provide different trainings to our tutors, and we also, when interviewing them, recognize who our
Yeah.
students are and what their needs are. And we look for specific qualities in tutors that would match well to supporting these students. And so, right from the get go, we're looking for a specific type of tutor that we know will be successful with the
Mm.
students. And then from there, we provide different resources and training to be able to supplement that. And then all along the way in tutoring, we read every single session report that happens with a student. And the reason we do that is because we want to see, are things going okay with our students? Are there any problems that are happening? And when we do that, we're able to see, okay, maybe this tutor needs a little bit more support in this area. So we're able to reach out to them and see if that's something we can address. Otherwise, we're able to then assign another tutor to that student who has that specific need. A lot of our tutors are special needs teachers or have been a teacher or are currently teachers too, because a lot of the students we need also, or students that we work with, also have neurodiversity. So they have different needs that sometimes the tutor really does need to have more expertise.
Right. And even, I mean, not only the tutors, everybody that works in your company or for your company, hiring must be, I don't know if it's a challenge for you, but it's not a normal job, where it's not about the money mindset. There's so much more than money involved in your company. So is it that your company naturally attracts people like these, or do you have a lot of failure rates in interviews, Loni,
Do we have a lot of failure rates in what? I'm sorry?
during the interviews?
During the interviews. I think that we have different things in place at the beginning that help us kind of weed out maybe some of the applicants that
Right. Right.
might not have as good results with the students, because our goal is we need to be able to give good quality support to our students. And so even before really looking at an applicant, we have a couple of questions that are answered by the applicant. And so I would say that by the time that we get to the interview process, we can really tell if this is somebody that we would like to have on our team to work with our students, because we get to know our students and we get to know what they need and what their life story is. And so I would say that we have a pretty good idea by the time that it's to the interview process. And then definitely within the interview, we're able to see different things in the tutor, in their answers and in their mannerisms.
Got it, Lonnie. Lonnie, I know you said you've got about 45 minutes when we started. I think we're kind of nearing that time limit at this
We have
point.
about 4 more
So,
minutes.
okay, great. There's a lot that I'd like to talk about, and maybe I'll fit in this one question. So, as far as being a CEO is concerned, it can be a pretty lonely position in your company. How do you kind of keep the spirit up for others as well as you? Because the kind of students and the kind of service that you're offering, it can get a little low at times. The nature of the job is like that. So how do you make sure that doesn't affect your team and yourself?
That's a really good question, actually. And I think that the support from my team really, really helps with that. I think having good communication with your team is important. And you're right. One of my main jobs is culture in the company. And that means being positive. That means having a vision. And that means being able to problem solve, and help the people on our team too, because that's my goal. I'm not just looking at the students and the families, I'm also looking at our team and how can I support them. And so the ways that I do that is I really try to take care of myself. And some of the things that I tell my team, I have to remember too, which is block schedule. You have a time and a place when you do these things. Don't try to go back and forth a lot. I think that's a struggle a lot of people have working online now, is where is the boundary between my personal life and work, because you start seeing it bleed into the other side. So trying to have that boundary for me, because I can work 10, 16 hours a day. Sometimes I don't have that luxury of having that boundary. What I do in addition to that is making sure I'm sleeping, the typical things that everybody needs. Make sure I'm eating healthy, make sure I'm exercising, making sure I do have a mental break, and then having those systems in place for myself where I do have an advisor, I do have a business consultant, I do have a therapist, I do have a life coach. And so I have those people who are helping keep me accountable on my goals and that I'm going in the right direction and I'm taking care of myself, so that I in turn can take care of my team, take care of the company and the students and families that everybody trusts us with.
Great, great stuff. Lonnie, thank you, because there are a couple of minutes, but, if I ask a question, it's definitely going to go until, it's going to extend a few minutes, but I'm not going to let you off here. Maybe at this point we can end it, but there's so much more that I'd like to talk to you about the thing that you do, because it's not every other day that I come across people like you who do the kind of stuff that you do. So, yeah, I'll reach out to you for a part two, but as of up until now, it's been great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Lon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I'm just so excited because at this point, we're ready to let the world know what we're doing. We haven't done any sales up until this point because my focus has been good quality services for our kids. I don't want to all of a sudden get thousands of students, thousands and thousands, and not be able to
Yeah,
provide
yeah.
to them what we're promising to provide. And so now we have a system, we have a strong team, and I'm just excited to be able to share it with everyone. So I really appreciate you having us on too.
It's our pleasure. And you know what? This is what not just the US needs. This is what the entire world needs pretty much. So I think you should kind of, touch all the countries and, leave your mark a little bit so that somebody from that country can, take it and expand it.
That's such a good point, and we actually have been talking about that recently. So I neglected to mention that. So thank you for saying that, because we have been looking at giving our products and services to others in other countries too, because really I find myself with those who are underserved. That's who I work with, right? And that's not just the US, that is truly in the whole world. And so that is something that is on our sites, and I'm excited to provide it to those who are interested.
Awesome. I wish you all the very best in your journey, and we will meet again very soon.